Hello, everybody. Today is September 25th, and we're doing business and social stories for the middle of your week.
And here's your reminder, we still have a giveaway going. You can go join. There's a forum. You have to have already been a member of the community, but
You already are, so.
Sapphire Frostpunk 2 Edition 7700 XT. Radeon. So much fun. So thanks, Sapphire and AMD. If you buy this, you get the game for free. Isn't that cool? Enter to win.
Not the most valuable part of the transaction, but nice to have. What are they asking for Frostpunk 2? Are they asking 40 for that?
The deluxe edition is $70.
Really?
But
they better have some cool outfits for my character to wear.
There's pins in the box. You get little gold pins.
Some loot boxes, maybe.
Yeah, it's if you've never enjoyed, I don't really enjoy making Faustian bargains. I always feel bad for the fictitious things that are suffering at the result of that. But hey, whatever. I
kind of liked it in Frostpunk 1 that there were certain decisions you made. If you did the more merciful choice, you were rewarded for it.
But sometimes you were punished.
Yeah.
But I thought you were way into Frostpunk. I remember you getting
you really
hardcore into that game.
Yeah. Well, I kept playing it after we
streamed it. Yeah.
After we streamed it, just until the end, and it's I made some good decisions and I made some bad decisions. Not everyone died. I guess it's fine.
The human race continued. So.
Can any politician of the last 40 years say anything better than that?
No. It's probably worse, actually. They probably don't feel bad. They're probably sociopathic.
Well, they are going to have some interesting challenges in the coming days, I believe, because this situation does not seem to be getting better, and that is a bad deal if you're a politician, because people get a little bit antsy, as I'm getting, when they see stuff like this.
The Wall Street Journal headline is "Tech jobs have dried up, and they aren't coming back anytime soon." This article stopped short of saying, "Have you thought about being a plumber or an electrician?"
The photography that the editor picked out for this too, where it's the guy in the flannel looking out the window he's a farmer whose fields have gone fallow.
Is the learn to code of 2024 learn to weld?
Yes, Yes it is. We could use more skilled welders. CNC machine operators also. A lot of need for those, at least until the robots figure it out. So, you know.
So, also kind of screwed.
Well, as usual, we have some interesting stories that back up what they were saying there.
Cisco's second layoff of 2024, perhaps unexpected to some, affects thousands of employees. TechCrunch does a little bit of a victory lap here. It's oh yeah, we told you this was coming. And they were right. They were absolutely right.
And?
IBM is also axing thousands of jobs. Now, remember last year when we reported it's dino babies and all just the lull of that? And they waited this long, and so they've built up quite a backlog of folks that have to go. And so they've started shedding thousands of people.
Happy Halloween. And the AI, like we in the previous episode, Larry Ellison now actually telling us the truth, which is AI is going to be a panopticon of surveillance and no one can escape it. Well, all the crap they've been telling us about AI isn't going to destroy jobs, we're ready to jettison that narrative as well.
Billionaire tech CEOs tell bosses that they should not BS their employees about the impact that AI is going to have on their jobs.
Which is to make them no longer necessary.
Or if you don't embrace the AI and become hyper-productive, then there's the door.
Well, productive, but perhaps not actually useful.
But there's only going to be an opportunity for one person out of, 10, 50 to do that? What are the other ones going to do?
Yeah. Riot in the streets.
I have to admit, I've been in meetings and stuff where, folks have been setting up very elaborate things for, it's here is the workflow that we envision customers going through in order to whatever, and they're putting a lot of effort into it, and it's just the people that want to buy this product are not stupid. Make it easy for them to get their questions answered and make it easy for them to see the things that are relevant to them. And you don't, all of the effort that was put into this was completely unnecessary and, in fact, probably annoys the person that is considering your services.
But when we're in this kind of environment where jobs are getting scarce, people are already stretched thin, credit card debt is at a record, I believe, the corporations have a lot of ammo. They have a lot of power. They can do pretty much what they want because if you don't like it, somebody else is dying to have your job.
Amazon tells employees to return to the office 5 days a week.
This was a big story this week. Everyone was very angry about this.
This is basically a stealth layoff. Amazon does not expect people to come back to the office 5 days a week. They expect people to resist, and resisting results in termination.
But for a lot of people during the illness, everyone bought houses further out because they were working remotely. And then it's like, oh, you need to move however many hours back to be near the office. Like, that's not feasible.
That's kind of part of this, though, because some of the billionaire investment funds, commercial real estate.
Yeah.
It's like, we need you to move back to the city because the pricing needs to not go down there.
Why did I put this here? Oh, I put it in the collapse section. Yeah, it's collapsed.
We kind of already talked about it.
Yeah, we've already talked about this, but yeah.
Israel didn't tamper with the exploding pagers. It made them, according to the New York Times. Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
So, we talked about that last
And it
episode.
made the walkie-talkies, too.
Yeah.
And who knows about the other miscellaneous. You think we'll ever find out the full details of all this?
It's all lurking. There's stories from the 70s. There were some U.S. companies that clandestinely sold Russia or one of the Eastern Bloc countries a natural gas control system that was very simple software running on like an 8-bit microcontroller with source code, and the CIA was able to introduce a defect into that. It was so subtle that it ran fine for 6 months before finally exploding in one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in human history.
Well, another large explosion in human history, or perhaps an implosion, is the Intel stock price. They're doing really, really poorly, and they are trying their best to figure out how to stop that bleeding.
Intel stock jumps on a plan to turn foundry business into a subsidiary and allow for outside funding. Now, I think there's a lot of Wall Street bros that smell blood in the water with Intel, and it's really not that bad for Intel. Because, like, look at Uber. Like, nobody's beating up on Uber this week. But on the stock market, Uber is worth as much as Intel. Like, they have the same market cap. Somebody is clearly on some sort of prescription-grade medication if they think that is reality. Because Intel's assets exceed its value at this point. Like, if you just sold the land and the equipment, it would be worth more than Intel's stock price.
You going to buy the dip?
I might.
They just announced some kind of government contract. I think it was the CHIPS Act stuff. Went up 8% in one day.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you got the balls,
Intel is very undervalued right now, I think.
This is not investment advice.
No, not at all. But it is crazy, the people that come out of the woodwork. There's a lot of people that send us a lot of bad information, and I'm like, this is like, are you on crack? This is like, I know I'm hopelessly naive, but I'm not this much of a moron.
Well, is it hopelessly naive to look at everything that we just talked about and think, you know what, we can extract another $20 from these American consumers?
Yes.
I think that they can deal with that.
Apple is charging 20% more to replace batteries in the iPhone 16 Pro models. Remind me again who was responsible for the design of the iPhone 16 Pro to make it easy to replace batteries? Also Apple.
So the old ones are not going up, but the new one is going to cost you an extra $20.
I don't remember if we included a story about it. Like, these are not selling well either.
No.
Not even a little.
Yeah, it turns out people want the cheap phones.
When I think cartoonishly evil, I think Apple. It's like, it wouldn't be evil if Apple was just like, we make a good product, we're going to sell you the battery. It is, we believe in the environment and we want to do good things for the environment. But our actions tell you we secretly want to squeeze every dollar that we possibly can from you. And that will extend to literally every activity that we can visit upon you in order to squeeze dollars from you.
And it's a horse race. Which horrible corporate entity can squeeze you the hardest? And we never side with the ISPs, but now twice, because if you go back and look at Tuesday's episode, the ISPs were fighting against the copyright cartel. Now they're fighting against the tech giants. You just don't know who to root for.
Tech giants plan to make them pay for more electric grid updates, including Microsoft, who's going to buy 3 Mile Island. Well, they didn't really buy 3 Mile Island, but they're buying capacity from 3 Mile Island, resulting in a 40-year nuclear reactor becoming a 60-year nuclear reactor. Woo!
And with social media, this was a big deal, and this was a hard fight. But with AI, that's going to just turbocharge this, because AI is so much more greedy than anything we've ever done before.
Imagine a company being able to employ the labor equivalent of like 6 to 8 people to just watch everything that you do and squeeze as much money from you as possible. That is the definition of an inelastic economy.
And that is the Larry Ellison dream that we talked about on Tuesday as well. Surveil everything, store everything, and have AI go back retroactively and look for any wrong think or violations or whatever. But there is one big missing piece, and that is energy. But don't worry, because our rulers have a plan for that.
Microsoft and Abu Dhabi's MGX to back a $30 billion BlackRock AI infrastructure fund. Microsoft is going to have its energy needs met for the next 30 years because they're looking at Meta. Meta is very, very power constrained right now. And Microsoft is looking and they're saying, ooh, we don't want that to be us in another 5 to 10 years. So they're buying 30 years of energy capacity now. I got to say, it's pretty smart.
And they're building the modular, small nuclear reactor stuff, or they're trying to build that so that they can have, less centralized. Basically, it's going to be, instead of hooking into the grid, Microsoft is going to control their little area of the grid.
I don't know if it's true. This might be a little bit of an engagement challenge, but folks had always told me that DARPA has designs for small nuclear reactors in the event of like something going completely sideways. They can just, in a few shipping containers, deploy a nuclear reactor that you could basically just bury. Like you just dig a pit for it, you bury it, and then it doesn't really require much maintenance for the next 20 years, and it'll just run forever. And if that's a slightly modified version of that for what Microsoft envisions for powering data centers and whatever, that'll probably work fine. Probably great, actually.
That'll be useful when they seal us into our homes. And we're stuck there, and all we have is our screens to go through the filtered social media feeds that we're being fed.
In the darkest future, yeah, travel no longer permitted. You just have to do everything, because that would be one way to assure that nobody is doing anything.
Darkest future, that was 3 years ago.
That was a try run.
4 years ago.
But if you're going to do that, you're going to make sure you have a really nice TV or monitor. And watch out for these.
Ars Technica has the headline, TCL accused of selling quantum dot TVs without actual quantum dots. And this article starts off strong. It's like, these are obviously not quantum dot TVs. And by the end, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's a different technology. It's really easy to tell if it's a quantum dot. You just get the TV and you look at it in a dark room because the thing is supposed to emit light. If it's other technology, it's not going to emit light when it's on a black screen. But if it's on a black screen, it's got a backlight or something like that. Then it's not a quantum dot type technology.
But look how happy this guy is with the screen.
Well, they were a little more scientific about it. They were testing for cadmium, I think, right?
Yeah, but there's some question that the testing methodology might be flawed because it's a vanishingly small amount of cadmium.
Well, one group tested it before assembling the TV, just for the panel. The other group tested it after the TV was assembled. They both argue that theirs is the best way to do it, and the other one is wrong. I don't know the difference.
I guess we'll just have to buy one of these and see if it's actual quantum dots. I can tell you that OLED is the just in terms of the picture quality and melting your retinas is amazing. And you're OLED these days, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's Team OLED is like I don't care if I have to replace it in 2 or 3 years because it's worth it. And it'll probably be way less in 2 or 3 years anyway.
I haven't experienced any of the burn-in problems either.
I've been using that LG one that was a TV that I got when it was like on clearance because it was open box or something, and it has very, very slight signs of wear, but I don't notice it unless I really am looking for it. You don't notice it unless it's a pure white background. Like if you got Reuters and you maximize it on 4K, and it's mostly just snow blind, you can kind of see it's like, oh yeah, this part of the screen does have a little bit more wear than the other part. But for playing games and everything else, it's fantastic still. And that's like 5 years old.
And why does Reuters do this? Come on, Reuters. You're destroying the environment with your white background.
You're literally making my OLED TV consume 100 extra watts.
And it's going to be really tough for certain people to see that because they have vision problems, but that might become a complete thing of the past.
The Reuters headline is Musk's Neuralink gets FDA breakthrough device tag for Blindsight implant. So this is people that have no vision are going to be able to see, but it's not see in the traditional sense. It's more like some of the other implants that give you a very limited input that is analogous to vision, but not actually vision.
But it wasn't just like if somebody scraped your eyeballs out with a spoon, this would still work. And I think like even optic nerves are optional here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, we haven't actually seen it do anything yet. But
Pretty sure that I saw an episode of Black Mirror where there were just brains in jars. Oh, wait, no. It was Baldur's Gate.
but also reality,
All things go back to Baldur's Gate.
because there's that company that rents out brain time. And
So when grandma dies, she can be sorting products on Amazon.
this might have been the biggest tech story of the week, if not for the exploding electronic devices.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought this was going to happen, and then it didn't, and they were like, wow, that didn't happen. And now it is happening, but for a weird, different reason.
It's taken a turn. Palworld maker vows to fight Nintendo lawsuit on behalf of fans and indie developers. If you didn't hear, Nintendo is suing Palworld, but for patent infringement. And that might be because Pokemon apparently comes from something called Monster Quest, which is from like 10 years
Pocket
earlier.
Monsters?
No, like Nintendo ripped off Pokemon from somebody else. But one of the things Nintendo patented is storing a pet in a sphere. But here's the wild thing. Nintendo didn't file for their patent until after a month after Palworld was released.
Isn't there some weird thing where, like, did Digimon come first?
They were both running at the same time. Like, I remember there was a television show for both. I don't know which one came first, though.
So here's what I think is actually going on. I think that Nintendo wants to own Palworld, and I think this is their opening salvo in negotiations to keep negotiations secret. Palworld is a very small company. There's not a lot of developers. I think that Nintendo wasn't really sure how they would respond to an offer to buy out, since it's not a traditional company where money trumps everything. So I think Nintendo doing this, it's like, okay, we're going to make sure that you have lawyers, and it's not just some rando developers like the Dwarf Fortress guys. They don't want a Dwarf Fortress guys type situation trying to buy Palworld. So I think this is their opening salvo. Then those guys get lawyers, and then their lawyers talk to the other lawyers to say, okay, this could go really bad for you, but we're also willing to just give you $50 million, and you just walk away.
I got burned out on Palworld really quick.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of, the loop became repetitive after a while, but it was really popular. They made a lot of money on it.
It was interesting for a while.
Nintendo does also have some other game mechanics that are patented. There's some stuff I think from Breath of the Wild to do with stuff around weaponware, and I think they have a patent on if you jump on a moving cart. So like if you're on a moving cart,
It's the physics.
Yeah.
That was actually, I remember reading about that, and that was actually pretty impressive what they did with that.
Yeah. So but this is new. Like they seem to have patented specific things for Palworld, or they said, hey, we think we've got a case here. Maybe let's patent some stuff that we've done for a while to go after Palworld. But we don't know what the patents are specifically because it's not named yet. But if it's the ones that they think it is, I think that Palworld will be able to show some prior art, but not before they spend millions of dollars on lawyers.
Which is the world we live in, where it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It matters who has more power and money.
Yeah, I really just think this is about Nintendo taking control, because if you look at it, how much better would that game have done with Nintendo IP? And just like Nintendo needs not to contribute to the game mechanics or anything, but this could springboard Nintendo's own efforts to do the same things.
And if you need any more evidence about power and money giving you different treatment, just think about all the various crypto tokens and stuff we've been talking about and how hard the governments of the world come down on them, because you do not compete with the monetary system unless...
The Wired headline is the Trumps have gone full crypto with the World Liberty Financial. That might be the headline. You never go full crypto. They brought up some quotes in this article where it's just like, crypto is a scam and you got to be careful with it.
He had said
blah,
that.
blah, blah. And then later on it's like, I can make money from this? Well, yeah.
Then it's not a scam.
But that's pretty much every politician we've heard from, right?
Yeah.
They all started out saying that it was money laundering and horrible and evil, and then later they're like, wait a minute, I'm getting donated this stuff? So this is not Don Sr., this is Eric and Don Jr. kicking this off. But Donald Trump has come out and said it was an amazing thing and he supports it. But I'm sure he's tied in somehow. Which is weird because...
No, I think he's just supporting his children.
Is he loyal to his family? I didn't think he was loyal to him.
Well, I mean, we just had the Biden controversy about that exact same thing. You think like maybe he'd think about that and be like, oh, you know what, guys, I'm going to step away from this one. Because there's got to be a lot of quotes from him on that whole thing as well, right? Like the family stuff. Now we've seen this already. This was just in smart TVs. Was it like what, Roku or something? But it sounds like it's going to be everywhere now.
YouTube confirms your pause screen is now fair game for ads.
Google tested them in 2020 and found them lucrative. For who?
Krista pointed out that
Oh, yeah.
we all agreed to boycott Duncan. And
Oh, look who got.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Because Duncan was the only one who was part of that beta.
we didn't actually agree to that.
No.
But we should get that started. Actually, no, it's canceled. And Krista, I threw this in, the only design story I saw
This was not.
week.
This was a bit of a nothing burger, I thought. But yeah, we can talk about
you
it.
get what you get.
Microsoft has scrapped Edge's big UI refresh with rounded tabs.
This was not a big UI refresh. This was like a 10-second fix in Figma.
Microsoft has a very low opinion of how competent its users are, as evidenced by all of the changes they keep making to Windows.
Interestingly, like Firefox does it the new way, and Chrome does it the old way. I don't think there's enough of a difference usability-wise for it to matter.
I so do not care.
I have to say, Edge has a mode where it'll throw all the tabs to one side, which is very reminiscent of like the old vertical tabs plugin for Firefox that I still miss to this day. It's never like it was not only tabs on the left, but they were hierarchical. So like if you were looking at something, it's like, oh, I should look at that later. You would get that as like a sub tab of a tab, and you could organize that. But you could also save and restore it. So you could have windows where it's like, this window is my, browsing the nonsense window. This is my work browser window. This is my whatever. And
This is my Forgotten Realms wiki window.
yeah, and you could rename that window group, and it would remember. And it's like, hey, refresh all the tabs, and it would just go, and it would just do it. And it was great.
Did it make that noise?
It did.
It was a really annoying UI feature, but they kept it.
Well, it was nice to have like this organized console of all the stuff, and then it got weird and flaky and it stopped working. And Edge almost brought that back, and then I don't have to actually go to different web pages. I can just go through the list, and it's fine. I don't have to think about it.
Well, moving on to social media, if you ever needed more of an encouragement to stop using social media, boy, have we got some for you today.
Snapchat's AI selfie feature puts your face in personalized ads, and here's how to turn it off.
For now.
You're agreeing
Asterisk.
to that in Snapchat's My Selfie feature, which means letting the app use your face in ads. Remember when there was some viral ad agency campaign that did that? It baked your face into a video, like a horror movie trailer or something, because it was like an interactive horror trailer, and it's like, oh.
And it was, it would also use your IP address to target where you live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. I remember that. Well, if you're on social media, then you might be thinking, hey, I sometimes question if I'm actually ever communicating with a real human other than the people I actually know. It seems like all these people are just fake, and they're pushing narratives, and they're trying to control me. And that might be true, but some people apparently like it, and they just want more.
Dead Internet Theory comes to life with a new AI-powered social media app. You as a human can join and post, and then bots will respond to your post.
Interestingly, you can choose what kind of followers you want. You can get skeptics, people who agree with you, or people who are just random.
Yeah, there's a bunch of categories. There's more than that, but
Hook this up to real-life Twitter, and ad agencies are ready to just give you lots of money.
the article pointed out sometimes even if you selected that and like you would get normal answers for some stuff, sometimes it would just be lorem ipsum text, which
it seems poorly done.
Yeah, and it's not a satire thing though. Like it's a real like, oh no, we're serious about this.
Yeah. He said he likes having that fake feedback. Also, was it Ellison who said he used ChatGPT as a therapist?
Yeah.
I guess if you're going to trauma dump on someone, I guess
Listen,
AI is good for that.
I was down in the orphan crushing machine earlier, and I was giving it a fresh quart of 10W30, and the smell was really bothering me. And ChatGPT was like, "Dear sir, you are a captain of industry. Don't worry about the smell of the orphan crushing machine. Your work is needed to further humanity." It's like, thanks, ChatGPT.
You know what? Put a little lavender on a handkerchief. Keep that in your pocket whenever you put it up to your nose.
I'm getting the vapors.
And Mr. Elon Musk is still at war with Brazil, this one man in particular, and they are sort of in Elon Musk's style. He does little things just to poke at people, and then he's like, "Oh, that was a mistake."
Elon Musk's X circumvents official block in Brazil, but says the move was inadvertent.
I'm not touching you.
They've deployed Cloudflare, so Brazil's like, what are we gonna do? Block Cloudflare? Cloudflare, for their part, said, "Don't worry, we got you, fam." So Cloudflare's gonna help Brazil block X.
Cloudflare was like, "We're not giving up Brazil. Maybe you are, but we're not."
Although this article didn't point out, but the White House did actually finally come out and say that they do not agree with what is happening in Brazil, which I thought was interesting because historically the White House has been very, let's keep Musk at arm's length. But they said, yeah, we don't think that Brazil should be blocking X in this fashion, which I thought was interesting.
Which is weird because the White House seems to want to block X.
That's for different reasons, different posts on X. I don't know.
And we always talk about how anytime a new thing comes out, what's the first thing they ask you to do? Join the Discord. Oh, just come to our Discord. You want instructions on something? No, we don't have a website.
Join our community to be part of the giveaway.
Yeah, Discord. And it's like, I don't want to be a part of that. So now YouTube has said, wait a minute, we should do that same thing.
YouTube launches Communities, a Discord-like space for creators and fans to interact with each other.
I like that they picked purple to also further make you think of Discord, which I feel like is a weird branding. You should be trying to distance yourself from that image. But
how long until this gets Google Plussed?
Not long enough. I don't know. I mean, maybe it'd be good.
I mean, this could be useful for creators, but I have a feeling that this is actually going to be the more like a blunt instrument to say, hey, you need to only use our platform.
Yeah.
And the big critique of social media companies, I mean, there's a lot of them, but one of the biggest ones that we hear over and over that they really don't have an answer for is, what about the teens? We know it's bad for their health. They're maybe dumber and sadder than they've ever been in history. They're doing some horrible acts that may be caused by this. What are you going to do about it? It seems that Instagram is finally actually going to do something.
Instagram makes all teen accounts private in a highly scrutinized push for child safety. The optics on this look really good. It's like, how do you argue that this is a bad thing?
Oh, I'll give an argument for you. Because the question is always what? How do you know who's a teen? Right? Well, Instagram's answer is record everything and run it through AI. Basically the Ellison answer. And it's actually, they have a company that specializes in facial recognition to determine age.
Wow.
So if you take a selfie on Instagram is trying to figure out your age and figure out whether or not it should lock your account down as a teen.
It looks at your slang and it's like, oh.
Yeah, you have all of your posts.
They dabbed recently. That person's old.
I just assumed that it required your birth date. Steam was kind of like that.
No, people lie about that.
Yeah.
Also, they said there was a name for the accounts that they use to get around it. I can't remember what it was, though. Somebody in the chat will know.
Someone has had their Instagram account for 10 years. They're probably not a teenager.
They got it when they were 2.
And social media seems to be a primary thing in the lives of young people, and I don't understand it, and I don't understand them, but I assume that they loved it, but maybe they don't.
Nearly half of Gen Zers wish TikTok was never invented, survey finds.
I think it was closer to like 60%.
I'd believe that. There doesn't seem to be very many people anymore that get joy out of just doing something with their hands or putting something together. It's like, I'm going to go put a piece of furniture together. It's like, oh, you get joy from that? You're weird. It's like, what? No, that's...
But they reported that they wished it was never invented, alongside reporting that they use it for 4 to 6 hours a day.
Yeah. Think about all the productivity for 4 to 6 hours a day. Like, not commercial productivity, but just like self-improvement productivity, whether that's mental or working on your house or cleaning or whatever.
I saw a meme once that was like, I never understood why Denethor used the Palantir and then just let this thing broadcast horrible messages in his head all day. And that's like me looking at my phone for 4 to 6 hours a day.
That is kind of, it do be like that, don't it?
And now we have an actual company called Palantir that does this thing.
It's kind of the reverse Palantir, though, right? Because it's observing everything instead of you, like...
Well, it looked back. That was a big part of the story.
Is that it was actually a communication device, so it could go either way.
It looks back without touching, though. It just sees everything through the wire.
Well, Sauron manipulated the images that Denethor
Wait till you get a Neuralink.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are headed to that future, aren't we? It's like you just have one of those in the house. It can see all the electronics stuff that you're doing.
Oh, was that the last story?
That was the last story.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, this is the outro. We will be back on Friday As we always are.
with a lot more nonsense.
Yes.
And business stories. And if you are affected by collapse, the collapse part, engagement challenge below, I don't know.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
If you're not a billionaire.
In a really, really severe way, I don't know.
If you are a billionaire, donate and subscribe. Buy a T-shirt, maybe.
We're gonna need a community outreach program to just be like, this is what we're gonna do to take back all of our stuff.
That's what our communities tab is for, billionaires.